Mr. DioGuardi, recently Congressman Benjamin Gilman and Tom Lantos introduced a resolution in the floor of the House where they expressed their support for the independence for Kosovo. Is this the right time to introduce such resolutions?
Absolutely. Shirley, my wife, and I just returned from Kosovo. We spent 10 days there, meeting with political leaders. We met with Mr. Dotsi, and we met with Mr. Recepi and Ramush Haradinaj, and many of the civic leaders as well. It's clear to us that everybody in Kosovo wants independence. It's clear to us that the people have expressed their will very loudly in 2 elections now that the key issue for Kosovo is independence. Why now? Well, look at Mr. Civic. Mr. Civic is running around the world and running around the Balkans. Is he interested in integrating Serbs into Kosovo? I can tell you that the Albanians are, the Turks are, Ashkali, the Roma, we met them when they came to Washington. Everybody is interested in integrating Serbs into Kosovo, the non-criminal Serbs. But the actions of Mr. Civic show us with the partition, de facto partition of Mitrovica, the way they're treating the Albanians in Preševa, that they have no intention of integration, that they're looking for Belgrade to still control Kosovo. Now, we need to eliminate this uncertainty of the future status. Why? Right now, Kosovo probably has the youngest population in Europe. Over half the people in Kosovo, and let's say maybe 2 million people, are under 25. And the population under 25 of those that are working age, 70% are unemployed. This is a formula for disaster for the future of Kosovo. What are these educated Albanians going to do with their lives? Are they going to be enticed into criminal enterprises? Are they going to leave Kosovo so that the human capital leaves? No. We cannot wait. We need to express now the will of the people of Kosovo, and it's in the interest of the United States to do this. Why? Because we want to see long-term peace and stability in the Balkans, and the only way to do that, and I have passed these all over the Balkans, is to have independence. Independence is the only way to peace and stability in the Balkans for the United States, and it's in our interest, in the vital interest of the United States to do this. Why did we invest $200–300 million in Camp Bondsteel? Because we know how important the security situation is and how important Kosovo is.
Let's get back to the resolution. What are the chances of it getting approved by the House?
Well, we think they're very good because we have put this in not at the bottom but at the top. When you introduce a bill with Congressman Tom Lantos, who is the #1 Democrat in the House, if the House were Democratic right now, not Republican, he would be the chairman. And then you get the second ranking Republican, who is Ben Gilman, and these 2 gentlemen have had much experience with the issues for Albanians. In fact, Tom Lantos introduced the first resolution for independence on January the 7th, 1992. My feeling is that others will join on. In fact, Shirley, Cloyes, my wife, the Balkan Affairs advisor of the Albanian American Civic League, worked very hard to draft a resolution that would trace the history of Kosovo from World War II, when Kosovo in the Yugoslav constitution was treated as a de facto sovereign unit. And then also with the constitution amendments in 1974, Tito allowed Kosovo to maintain de facto status as a separate republic, de facto republic, because it had an equal vote to Serbia in the confederal presidency. Well, we started with these things, and then we went into the issues of the people of Kosovo needing to know what the status is in order to attract the investments. There are many points in this very critical, timely resolution. But having Congressman Lantos and Congressman Gilman, and now with Shirley and I in Washington this week to go visit. In fact, we were with Dana Rohrabacher yesterday, Republican. He will come on the bill. We were with Congressman Tim Johnson. He has indicated he will come on the bill. Today we will meet with maybe 3 or 4 others. We're going to meet with Henry Hyde, the chairman of the International Relations Committee. Why? Because we want Hyde to signal to the State Department that this is important to him, so we find out what the response of the State Department is going to be.
So that's what I wanted to ask you. Even if the resolution is approved by the House, it's not binding for the administration, for the State Department, for the U.S. government. So what is the importance of those resolutions?
Okay, well, first, it is a sense of the House resolution, and we hope to have one introduced in the Senate this week. We'll meet with Senator Biden. When you have people that are leaders. Senator Biden is the chairman of the International Foreign Relations Committee in the Senate. You're telling the State Department that the leaders in the House and Senate think this is an important foreign policy issue. So the State Department now has to sit down with the it is the Bush administration, but with National Security Council, and see whether or not there are issues here that they're not understanding at this point. The real importance for the resolution is to advertise what the people of Kosovo want, and to advertise that the Albanian lobby, the Albanian American Civic League in America, has the power to convince key leaders in the Congress that this is important. Why is this important for the state and the Bush administration? Well, they get their budgets from Congress. If we make this an issue that Congressman Lantos wants, Senator Biden wants, and other senators, and Congressman Gilman and many other congressmen, then the State Department has to say, well, this is something we have to seriously consider. Politics is politics. There are some things that President Bush is going to want from Senator Biden. The Democrats control the Senate. We have to be smart enough, the lobby, to think strategically so that we convince Senator Biden and people like Tom Lantos and Gilman that this is something that they should ask for, even if it's a personal request, and perhaps they can do something else for the president, but we have to convince the president that this is in his interest. Why? Right now, you have fires burning in Jerusalem. You have the issue of the Mideast. You have the issue in Afghanistan, not resolved. You have the war on terror. We're doing the Bush administration a favor by saying, take this issue off the table. Give the Albanian people the right of self-sufficiency, the right to govern themselves, to raise the money so they can create the jobs, to keep that large population there. Europe doesn't want Albanians to come to Germany and to Switzerland. They're saying they'd like to see Albanians stay in the Balkans. Well, if they want them to stay in the Balkans, they're not going to stay under Belgrade. They need to have their sovereign status, and that will permit them to then raise the money for the major investments to create the jobs.
And one final question now away from the resolution. Recently, we have seen in Kosovo a kind of tension between the Albanian politicians, the Albanian institutions there, and the UN and the international administration. Do you think that in the future those tensions might deteriorate even further, since the Albanians are going to ask more and more frequently for independence, and the international community, to say the least, is not yet ready just to open the negotiations for the final status?
Well, I hope they don't deteriorate, but I don't believe that the Albanian people and their government can wait for a large bureaucracy, and this is the United Nations and UNMEC. They're good people, well-intentioned, but they're not moving fast enough, and we need to provide the investment money for Kosovo so we can put this very large young population to work. We don't want to see criminals come from other areas of the Balkans into Kosovo to now create further instability. So since we've had 2 elections already, and we have another one coming up in September, municipal elections, and since the issue of independence is always the #1 issue for the Albanian people and the Albanian politicians, I think this is a strong signal for the United Nations that they have to work with the Albanian leadership there, who represent the Albanian people. It's already a democratic place. It's a very wonderful, free place. I've gone there now often since the NATO bombing. And all the indications are that Kosovo is already acting as a de facto nation. It has its own assembly, as you know. It is creating all kinds of democratic institutions. People are coming back. The diaspora is investing much money. In fact, next week we expect to meet with the Ministry of the non-residents over here to help them make their case to the diaspora to invest more in Kosovo. These are all very positive signs. But without final status, and without getting it soon, or at least the indication by the UN that this is the end game, we understand that Kosovo must have its independence.